pretty babies. What's going on? Lee Sanders here, checking out new the RCWR show for July 28th, 2021. How y'all doing? What is good, you good kind of people, man? Appreciate you guys. Okay, so if you were with me Tuesday night, going into early Wednesday morning, you guys know we had experienced some serious tech issues. You'll be happy to know that some of those problems were good. We're doing a lot better than yesterday. So to kind of recap for those of you that's just tuning in, you know, just to save you guys on everything, just the bullet points. So Streamlabs OBS had some type of a update on Tuesday. The last stream we did, which was on Monday, worked no problem whatsoever. All the updates I have ever taken from Streamlabs OBS, no issues whatsoever. I have had the same settings for like about 2 years now. Never an issue. Monday we do a show. Boom, boom, boom. Good. Ready to rock. We're done. Watched it back. Played beautifully. Go into Tuesday. Do the NWA Reaction Edition show. I get prompted to download a new update from Streamlabs OBS. I'm going, hey, all right, cool, no problem. I do it, and the next thing you know, it just was acting nutty. I spent about 2 to 3 hours on it. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what am I doing wrong here? I'm not doing anything different. What's going on? So I actually go on social media, and it turns out there were a few people that were having similar issues to what I was having. Many of them just decided, you know what? Bump Streamlabs OBS. Just going to go on ahead and go right to OBS, right? And it's like they've had no issues. So I ended up, after a couple of hours, I actually ended up checking out just OBS. They're very similar, OBS and Streamlabs OBS. They're very similar. They share about like the same functionalities, and you will get a learning curve with just OBS because it's more for those that like getting involved with coding and all that type of stuff. But once you know your way around it, it's kind of one of those deals. Well, why would you want to leave that and go to Streamlabs? It's kind of one of those type of deals. But apparently, from what I had researched, a lot of people have been experiencing some type of issue constantly with Streamlabs OBS. Now, here's where it's new. Even for those that had heard all of this yesterday, here's where it gets new that everybody's hearing for the first time. So I send tech support a private message on Twitter, and I tell them what all's going on. And I say to them straight up, hey, can you guys like tell me, am I the only one that's having this issue? Is my issue isolated, or is there other people having the same problem? And they say to me, why don't you either go on our Discord, or why don't you open up a ticket? So I'm like, okay. So I actually go do the Discord invite. The Discord invite, I didn't see anything in the Discord that would essentially get me the help that I needed. So I just said, bump this. I filled out a ticket. This is where it gets hilarious. You guys will not believe this shit. I send the ticket. Not even 30 seconds go by that I submit this ticket. And I get this guy from Streamlabs OBS named Matthew, I believe his name, Matthew or Matt. He hits me up and he goes, oh yeah, the issue you're having, it has to do with your encoder. Your encoder is overloaded. Dude, this. I replied to him back. I said, wait a minute. I said, homie, wait. And I said, homie, wait a minute. I didn't even send this, not even 30 seconds ago. All you did was read the subject headliner. You didn't even mention the concerns I had and the questions that I had. You totally bypassed all of that and was just fixated on the subject heading. Go back, reread what I said, then feel free to respond back. At least this way I know you actually read what I said, and you can give me a more answer, better informed answer than what you gave me, because you failed to even home in on the fact that my same settings, I was able to go in OBS outside of Streamlabs OBS, no issue streaming whatsoever. Guy comes back about 2 to 3 minutes later And he goes, yeah, well, just based off what you were saying, this is pretty much what we recommend. Hopefully this helps you out. Warmest regards. I said, no, 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 dude. It's like, you still did not address what I asked, my concerns, my questions in that initial email. Let's be honest. And I bust them out. I said, let's be honest. You read the freaking headliner and you just had generated something that you could basically copy and paste, automatically generate, and you responded that way just so you can meet your little quota or whatever. Like, let's be real. Like, don't BS me. Don't waste my time and your time, because let's be honest, at this point, you don't know the answer. So I'd rather you tell me you don't know the answer than, and this isn't me, some of you guys may like, damn, Lee, you going in hard on the brother. It wasn't anything like that at all. It's just, I think many of you would be in the same position that I was in. Like, if you send something and 30 seconds later, you get a response, and it's kind of like, wait a minute. And it doesn't even mention what you had inquired about in the body. Yeah, you guys are going to be a little bit perturbed too. So I busted do that. I told him, I said, look, I said, you know what? I said, keep your customer service. Like, don't even respond to this email. It's like, because you're not being helpful. And that was the end of it. So far, no issues with just the regular OBS. It's actually been going pretty damn good. Once in a blue moon, I'll maybe get a little message that'll say something about, hey, you kind of got a little bit of lagging going on here, just try to close as many programs as you can, but other than that, pretty smooth when it's all said and done. By the way, how's the audio? You guys hear me pretty good? I know Tuesday night, we did do that stream pretty late. Shout out to, I think it was Keisha or something like that. Yeah, that gave me the emojis letting me know that the sound was okay. You guys able to hear me okay? Definitely post, let me know. But now that I've pretty much given you guys a heads up about all of that good stuff that was going on, it's a learning curve. I'm learning this shit all over again. I have spent 2 years learning the ins and outs of one program, and now I've got to learn the ins and outs of another program. I've got a new webcam on the way, by the way. I got a new webcam on the way. Been hearing a lot about the Logitech Brio, and I was fine with the built-in webcam that I had. You guys that have seen the streams enough, you guys know how we normally do it. But now that I'm using another software and it's relying on my webcam, the layout, just everything within this new software program, I cannot do the type of custom functionalities that I would like to do to make the webcam presentation be as it was with the other software. So I'm hoping that by getting the Brio, that can kind of help me out a little bit. Not to bore you guys with the mumbo jumbo tech talk, but that's kind of how we do it on this show. Hey, before we go any further, trust me, we're going to be talking loads of wrestling. I know you guys definitely, for those of you that didn't check out AEW Fight for the Fallen, don't worry, we're going to hook you guys up. We're also going to talk NXT as well. But before we go any further into the show, I definitely want to send heartfelt condolences, prayers, thoughts, wisdom of strength to the family, friends, loved ones of ZZ Top. Man, I mean, I never was really a ZZ Top fan. I know a couple of their songs, but I really wasn't big into their catalog, sadly. But man, they just had that distinct look. You knew them as soon as you saw them. And if you didn't know anything about ZZ Top, that's okay. You knew enough to name 5 songs off the top of your hand, without a shadow of doubt, because at some point you heard of them. It doesn't matter what age you are and what type of music you're normally into. You've definitely heard of ZZ Top. But bassist Dusty Hill passed away. Big wrestling fan. He was a big pro wrestling fan. I still remember the numerous times when WWE specifically, they would be doing some shows from time to time over the years, and you would see him at the shows, and it would be really freaking cool. It would be really freaking cool. And I remember back in the late 2000s, ZZ Top actually co-hosted an episode of Monday Night Raw, Really, really fun to go out of your way and look up online if you've never seen that episode. You even had a nice little spot where Jericho did a little something. So now it wasn't all three members of ZZ Top. That much I do remember, but it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, Dusty Hill was a big, big pro wrestling fan. He passed away, if I remember. If he didn't pass earlier today, I believe it was yesterday. But it kind of feels no, it was earlier today that they made the announcement that he passed away. But it might have been like early morning, kind of going into the beginning of the afternoon that they had made the announcement initially. And then also, man, I know some people that's big into music. They're gonna be like, hey, don't forget about the guy from Slipknot. I know the bassist. Well, no, it wasn't a bassist player. I believe he was a drummer. The drummer from Slipknot. He passed away. That's another band I really was not big into. Slipknot. Heard of their music, tried to listen to a little bit of it. Wasn't really my cup of tea, but anybody else that's into Slipknot, totally respect them. But Joey Jordison, he passed away. Young dude, only 46. Only 46, and he passed away. As far as the cause of death, what was going on, he had a neurological disease, kind of from what I was gathering up about him. And ultimately, this neurological disease, it temporarily cost him his use of his legs. And he wasn't able to play drums for a little bit. And then he had to, pretty much do rehabilitation and everything. He got a little bit of medical assistance and all that. I mean, he worked his ass off extensively to try and get himself back up to 100%. The symptoms had started sometime around 2010, and it just progressed from there. And it was a battle. It was a battle. But yeah, he passed away again at the age of 46. He died in his sleep. So 46 years old, you hear that, you're going, what the fuck is going on? Right? I hate to speculate and all that other, we try not to really do that here on the show, not unless you guys bring it up and you really want to go there, but I'm not going to even touch that. I know it's questionable. To that I say, let's just wait until more information comes out. I would imagine most likely there's going to be some type of toxicology report and all that. Let's just, at this time, fans of Slipknot, fans of Joey Jordison, let's just rally around all of them, family, friends, fans, and just give them the support during this time of mourning. And then last but not least, because this is some heavy hitting shit. I mean, the past 7 days, we got hit with some really heavy shit. And the last couple of joints that just went down were within days apart from each other when you really stop and think about it. But probably the biggest piece of news that really just came out of nowhere and punched a lot of us in the gut because it just came out of nowhere. Better Call Saul actor, one of my favorite improv actors, and Bob Odenkirk, that is just crazy. I don't know if you guys had heard about that. You're fans of the Breaking Bad series, fans of the Better Call Saul series, but he was on set out in Mexico filming the final season of Better Call Saul, and right now they're about halfway through it, and they were doing some filming yesterday, and all of a sudden he collapsed. Production team, castmates, they're all surrounding him trying to figure out what was going on. He immediately got rushed to the hospital, and mom was the word on social media for pretty much the rest of the damn day. I remember when the news had first, this went down probably in the evening, if I remember correctly. Maybe, I think it happened sometime like prime time. So somewhere between maybe 5 to about maybe 11 o'clock at night is when the news had broke out about Bob. And you're like, ooh, hope he's okay. Like, what the hell is going on here? And sadly, you had a couple of trolls that decided they would go on his Wikipedia page and say that he died. And so now all of a sudden, well, I read it on Wikipedia, so it must be true. all of a sudden, all these rumors just started, and it turns out, it's all false. But we're all that's fans of this guy. We're just freaking biting our nails, going, what the hell? What's going on here? Anything? Any update? What's going on? We hear from Bryan Cranston, everybody. Well, finally, a couple of hours ago today, we get a update. I'm trying to remember who had the update. If you guys can actually bear with me a second here, I remember bookmarking it right before we started getting prepared here for the show here. It was actually a statement from Bob's own people, his own PR team. They put a statement out earlier. They said, and I quote, "We can confirm Bob is in stable condition after experiencing a heart-related incident. He and his family would like to express gratitude for the incredible doctors and nurses looking after him, as well as his cast, crew, and producers who have stayed by his side. The Odenkirks, don't have my aligners on. The Odenkirks would also like to thank everyone for the outpouring of well wishes and ask for their privacy at this time as Bob works on his recovery." So, you hear that. And as I kind of alluded to yesterday, I'm not saying this as a fact, just something to think about, something to have in the back of your mind. And just, because we've seen him, he's come a long way. I mean, at one point, he used to be a pretty husky guy. And for the most part, for a good handful of years now, he's been nice and trimmed up. He's been nice and slim. So, it just weird, just out of nowhere. But as I said on social media, when I first reacted to this news, I said, hey, hopefully it's just a hydration related type of issue that ultimately was tying to his health, because where they're filming, it is pretty hot out there. Now, I haven't been checking out what's been going on with the weather out there, but I'm sure if you were to do a simple Google search to just look at the weather right about now, and I actually did as we speak. I mean, today it was 88 degrees, not too shabby. Rest of the week, Thursday, you're looking at 91 for a high, low 67. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're looking at the mid 90s to late 80s. So, I mean, but you got to think about the precipitation. You got to think about the humidity. You got to factor all of those in, because, it may feel like it's 90, but, what's going on with that humidity and all that? Because it could actually feel like 110. You feel where I'm coming from? So, hopefully what went down with him was ultimately a heat-related type of deal. I mean, you try working out, let alone doing some stuff on a set, and especially if you're doing a lot of physical stuff, right? You got to stay hydrated, and all is very, very important. So hopefully it was kind of one of those type of issues. But if it was not, at this point, you know what? Let's honor the family. Let's give them their space. Let's give them their privacy. Look, not for nothing, but there's been previous seasons of Better Call Saul where we didn't even get it in the time in which we were supposed to get that next season. So if I remember it correctly, I want to say later this year, there was supposed to be a new season of Better Call Saul. If I remember right, if not, late this year, first quarter of 2022. As far as I'm concerned, they can come back 2023 for all I care. They can come back in 2023. It's all good. At this point, I just want this man to get the best health. I want him to get healthy again, and, fuck the show right now. Nothing else matters except health, priority number one. So I know that was kind of a lot to unpack, but that's how we do it here on this show. We don't just say covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond. We really do mean that, and we really try to go all over the place on this show, unlike some shows, and all they can just do is talk about wrestling. There's a time and a place for it, and then there's times where you got to look outside the box, and you got to talk about some real important shit that's going on in this world that in some shape or form affects us all, much like how later on I'll be talking about these rumors that's going about for AEW, also for WWE, with regards to seeing the rise of COVID cases, as now potentially there could be new restrictions put in place or reinstated restrictions put back, as a result of these spikes in numbers. We'll talk a lot more about that later on. But for now, take your mind off some of that stuff that was a little bit sad. I hope your week is going pretty good. So, AEW Dynamite, Fight for the Fallen edition, damn good. Damn good show. Enjoyed it for the most part. Some areas I just wasn't really, I didn't have that, what's the right words I'm looking for? I didn't have that, man, this feels like a somewhat inspired pay-per-view themed edition here. I feel like I'm getting a nice, good, I didn't get that vibe with some of the things that had went down tonight. But despite that, overall, I thoroughly had enjoyed Dynamite tonight. I enjoyed that sick-ass killer main event match between HBK, Shawn Michaels, with the new bald-headed look and the beard there. Yeah, I'm starting to get used to it there. But he was taking on Chris Jericho there. I'm kidding. But he does look a lot like the new Shawn Michaels, does he not? But anyway, no, seriously, all joking aside, fantastic main event match between Chris Jericho, Nick Gage. I loved it. I love that sense of brutality that went into it. It's funny too, because I went into this match just going, well, you know what, Jericho, he's going to do some stuff here and there, but this is really going to be all about Nick Gage taking the ass whooping. He's going to be taking a big brute of all the viciousness that's going to be coming, because that's what he's built for. That's his gimmick. That's his whole shtick. So, yeah, he's the one that's going to really be, Jericho's going to be the pretty boy that's going to be coming out of this really unscathed. But to the contrary, Jericho went into this. I couldn't have been more prouder of Jericho's performance. I dare say, and I will jump out there. I don't know how you guys personally feel, but I will jump out there. I felt that Jericho's performance tonight has been one of his best performances within recent memory since he's been in AEW. That's honestly where I'm at right now. I really, really had enjoyed it. It was that damn good. I saw a level to him tonight that I always knew existed, because I've seen it in previous years of his career. But I just didn't think that he would be willing at this stage in his career. I just didn't feel as though he would try to rise to that occasion and, really try to tell a great riveting story, really try to go above and beyond to put a guy over like Nick Gage. But that's essentially what he did in this main event match tonight. He went into this, he did not half-ass it in any type of way. And for that, he definitely has my utmost respect, for sure. I mean, yeah, granted, what he's been doing with MJF, that's been great. There's been some bright spots with this whole Pinnacle Inner Circle feud, for sure. There's been some really cool stuff that's been going on, but it's been kind of to a certain degree for me, at least. I don't know how it's been for you guys, but no, what he did with Nick Gage tonight was pretty fucking sick. It was pretty badass, and I love the fact that Nick Gage came out of this. I know a lot of people aren't fans of Nick Gage. I saw some of the stuff that was being put out there on social media about him. Hey, why did they hire this bank robber? Why the hell they giving this guy the time and day? This makes no sense whatsoever. And it's like, hey, everybody's worthy of a second chance. Hell, some people are worthy of a third chance, right? I mean, as long as they're showing that they are, as long as they're showing that they somehow are of the redeeming quality, people will always take a chance on them. And I know that, he's had his drug issues, alcohol issues and everything. But you just hope that this go round with this spotlight that was placed on him. I would like to believe that all of this stuff, it's happening for him for good reason, because if he was somehow, nah, man, we can't go in this direction. Of all the people to put time, resources, investment in, this guy is not one of them. I would like to believe that Tony Khan and them, they definitely had serious talks. I'm sure that there was probably a lot of back and forth. I'm sure that there was probably a little bit of a feeling out process and all that, trying to see exactly where Nick Gage is in this state in his life, mentally, spiritually, trying to see where this guy is. I would like to believe that everything happens for a reason, and it ultimately was not done just for the sole purpose of, well, we gotta make a rating. That's what this is all about. We got to do some type of a rating. I believe a lot of serious thought had went into this, to the point, don't be too surprised if, when it's all said and done, whenever Nick Gage does his next rounds of interviews, and I'm sure at this point, if he doesn't already have something slated with Chris Jericho, hopefully in the coming weeks he will, but or with Renee's podcast and all that, maybe she'll do something with him. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But I'm eagerly anticipating, looking forward to that interview, because I want to know exactly. That's one I will definitely go out of my way, listen to, and really, okay, so where's his head at right now? Where is he really? And I'm a betting man that he's at a much different place right now and everything. But the hardest part is going to be when you've battled all those type of addictions. The hardest part is, okay, now you've seen the error of your ways, right from wrong. The hardest part, can you put those demons to the side? Can you do what needs to be done to steer clear of them? Because just because you got the keys and you know everything that you need to do to maintain your sobriety, to maintain being drug free and everything, it doesn't mean automatically, okay, yeah, we're good, we're done, we're good. No, one day at a time. And this is coming from somebody that has seen with their own two eyes their own family member struggle with substance abuse. It is one day at a time. I have watched a family member, beat one demon, but then essentially adopt another demon in the process. So, you can't just pick and choose. Like, you gotta, okay, well, I'm not going to do cocaine anymore, but I will pick up alcohol. It doesn't work like that, right? It doesn't. You got to just, nope. You got to shut them all down. So it's going to be an interesting journey to see what happens with Nick Gage going forward here, because just off of this appearance alone on Dynamite, I would imagine that asking price, that brand awareness, all of that, man, yeah, that's going to look real good to some independent promoters out there. It's going to look real good for some of those indie feds that want to try to bring in some type of a name that they can generate tickets from and everything. You feel where I'm coming from? So, hopefully we'll see. Time will tell. We'll see with that. But yeah, fantastic main event match between Jericho. Look, I'm usually not a fan of these type of matches, even when I go back to the old ECW days. I've always been kind of, towards the hardcore matches to a certain degree, but that's, look, let me put it to you this way. They made sure, as far as the blade jobs and the blood goes, they made sure, and I got to give mad props to AEW for this, they made sure that when it came to this main event match, these guys got all the blading and the color that they needed. I will definitely give them a lot of props for that, because not for nothing, but I can definitely recall in previous AEW episodes, you see certain spots go down, and there is like a vicious recycling as you go throughout the night, and you're like, man, I'm seeing about the same handful of stuff going down in each match. Okay, so by the time we get to the main event match here, what exactly is the plan? What exactly are we going to be doing when it comes to the main event? Because we don't see just about every single goddamn thing that's humanly possible. Like, what are we gonna do now, right? It's kind of one of those type of deals. So I love this. I love this. Now, post match, and these guys, not to mention, this was a short match. I do want to stress that this actually was a pretty short matchup. These guys went about, man, you're lucky if it was creeping up on 15 minutes. Even when you get past the entrances and all that, you're lucky if it got up to about that point. But post match, MJF extremely pissed. He says to Jericho, hey, yeah, soak it in, enjoy that dub for all it's worth. But hey, you still got a long ways to go. You still got labor number 3 if you want to try to get your hands on me. And an interesting stipulation here. MJF says to Jericho that Jericho must hit a maneuver off the top rope in order to win. So you hear that, you go, okay, well, that should be easy. But here, and of all the stipulations to put, just think about that for a second. Of all the stipulations to put out there, you got to do a maneuver off the top rope. And you're going, well, wait a minute now, Jericho, he knows how to do some maneuvers off the top rope. This really should not be a problem for him whatsoever. What kind of a lame ass stipulation is that? Like seriously, can we not be more creative? I mean, that's almost as bad as saying, all right, for your next match, I want you to make yourself a Pop-Tart. Go make yourself a Pop-Tart. That's going to be the stipulation for this next match. But you're all right for your next match. Sorry about that. It's like go do that. But at the same time, it's kind of like while you're having that Pop-Tart, you got to face the Big Show. You got to face Paul White, and you got to somehow finish that Pop-Tart before the match ends with Paul White. You got to eat a Pop-Tart. You got to somehow finish that Pop-Tart. And you got to pick up a dub in the process of eating that Pop-Tart against Paul White. Good luck with that. I mean, that's literally how it kind of came off tonight. You know what it also reminded me of? It also reminded me of, man, it reminded me so much of one of those WWE 2K video games where you go into the universe mode or whatever, GM mode or whatever, or even the story mode, and they would give you these ridiculous tasks that they wanted you to do. One of the tasks, do a finisher 3 times on your opponent. And, if you only did one and you go in for the cover, yeah, you got the dub, but you failed the mission because the mission clearly stated you were supposed to do 3 finishers on your opponent and then win. You got to win, but you got to get the 3 finishers off. So, I mean, I thought that was just kind of silly, the way that had came about on tonight's Dynamite, but it is what it is. But his opponent that he's going to be facing for next week, somebody we have not seen in a good minute, especially on TNT programming. His opponent for next week is going to be Juventud Guerrero. Yes, Juventud Guerrero will be facing Jericho next week. Oh, that's going to be a damn good matchup. I'm looking forward to that one. There's a name that I have not heard of in a good minute. And I tell you what, Juventud, or Hoovy, as I like to call him, one of my absolute favorites from back in the day. One of my favorites. I definitely remember him in ECW. definitely remember some of his early stuff in WCW. I even remember for those handful of years there where he was doing this thing with TNA. And, I remember when he came in there as part of the Mexicools with WWE back in the mid 2000s. I do remember that run. I actually, out of all the guys in Mexicools, he absolutely was one of my favorites. Besides Psychosis, because I was a big, huge fucking fan of Psychosis. Yeah, that's kind of weird when I think about his run in WWE because it was like the mid 2000s when he was released from the company. And if I remember it right, I think one of his final matches in WWE when he was on his way out, he had faced Kid Cash, another one of my fucking favorites and everything. I never did understand why WWE got rid of him. I never did understand that. Definitely makes me want to check out some shoot interviews to hear about his time in WWE and what did he think were the circumstances surrounding his exit from the company, being released and all that. But, AAA, Lucha Libre, pretty much was doing the independents since he was released from the WWE. So, definitely I'm happy to see the guy's going to be back on TV because I thought for what he was worth, I thought he was fucking badass, personally. I thought he was. He reminded me a lot of S.A. Rios. He really, really did. S.A. Rios is another guy that I fucking loved tremendously. There's a guy right there so freaking talented. And you thought that, man, wow, what WWE picked up here, they got something pretty special. And there's another one that just somehow seems to have slipped through the cracks there of WWE. Kind of weird when you stop and think about it. But good death match. Once again, good death match for your main event, a Dynamite. Good shit. Now, I know we're kind of bouncing. That's how we kind of do it here on this show. We're just keeping it as loose as humanly possible. But one concerning point for me, and I actually had to rewind to see this, but the FTR match against Santino. God, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. Santana and Ortiz. Forgive me for that. Santana and Ortiz. That match, pretty good. A little sloppy, though, in just a couple of areas. And that's not me nitpicking whatsoever. There was probably maybe about, for me, anybody else that might have been really, really being meticulous about this match, that's on them. But just me, just watching it casually, no phone in my face, just watching it in real time with those of you that was watching it in real time as well. There was maybe for me 3 instances where I just, that was kind of sloppy. I know the one that kind of stands out to me the most was there was one spot where I think it was Dax that was in the ring, and he was on the offense briefly, and then he starts taking some clotheslines from, it was either Santana or Ortiz, and when he drops, when he gets hit with the clothesline, he's barely selling it. He's literally turning around, and he's looking for his freaking boy, and he's yelling audible to him. Cash. It was Cash Wheeler. Cash was yelling at Dax. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Because Cash, if I remember right, Cash is Cash the bald one? I believe Cash is the bald one. No, Dax. Dax is the bald one. You guys got to forgive me. I don't get to hear their names enough. Anyway, but no. Dax freaking half-ass no-so the clothesline that came at him because he's looking for Cash and he's yelling some type of audible, and then he just drops to the canvas. And I just thought that was the weirdest fucking sequence I've ever seen. You guys don't believe me? You got it on the DVR. You'll be watching it soon. Go check it out. You'll see exactly the spot that I'm talking about. But that wasn't the spot that I found that was the most alarming, that gave me concerns. Because remember, a few seconds ago, I just said one match gave me some concerns. It was this one. Here's the spot where I was like, what the fuck? So, what a weird week, too, as far as accidents happening in the ring. Because Natty from Monday Night Raw, man, and you see that image that she shared on her social media page when Doudrop pretty much got her in that roll-up cradle, and you just see how freaking bent Natty's leg is. I mean, it was bending in ways it had no business bending. So you hope that nothing, is torn, and that worst case scenario, there is just some significant strain, some swelling, and she just needs to take it easy for a couple of weeks, maybe about 6 weeks, and then she'll be good to go. Hopefully that's the good news, but more on that later. But, it was nice to see her reacting to everybody's concerns on social media. I told you guys Monday night, just from seeing it in real time. Remember one of the things I said, home in on Tamina's face. Tamina looked legit scared, very concerned, and what the fuck, But you think about that injury that happened on Monday night, but the injury that happened here tonight on Dynamite. So Cash goes up to the turnbuckle at one end, I believe, after he got tagged. I don't even know if he was a legal man, but maybe, for all I know, maybe he was trying to do a double tag team move, right? We'll give him that exit. But anyway, Cash goes up to the top turnbuckle, and something weird happens where he loses his grip and he falls. And the way he falls, and I watched this in real time, when he fell, he hit his right forearm, on the inner part here. And you're going, ooh, that didn't look good. Hopefully that's a scrape. But immediately he is looking at his forearm once he crashes there. And he's looking at his forearm, he's holding it, and he is out. Brother is out. I actually had to rewind that and watch it again. And when he goes down from that spot there, his hand is immediately on his forearm, and he's already gushing out the blood as he's quickly I'm out. And kudos to the referee. I know in the past I've made fun of that referee. I've called him Topper Shot because he looks like a weatherman from out here in the DC metropolitan area on WUSA 9. His name is Topper Shot. And when you see him, you just pull up the picture side by side and you're like, yeah, he actually does kind of look like him. Now, some would maybe make the argument, yeah, he looks like Shut maybe from 10 years ago, because Shut has picked up a little bit of weight since then. But normally I rip on him. And one other, because they're pretty much my see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil referees, right? Because usually when you see them, some bullshit's about to go down, okay? But I got to give him mad props tonight, because when he immediately sees that spot, I love how he took control and he pretty much gestured to the trainers, on hand, medical staff. Yo, we got a guy over here, needs assistance. And there's no telling exactly what the original finish to that match was supposed to be, because you can hear that ref clear as day saying to the guy straight up, hey, yeah, Cash, he has an injury. We got to go. Take it home. He's pretty much wrap it up. You hear all this clear as day. So, some may kind of question the finish. Some may say that the finish was a little bit sloppy, but, anybody with a set of eyeballs seeing everything that had went down totally understands and all that. So, but I give that ref mad props, because, it wasn't a case where, I mean, he was on top of it, and I like that. And man, when you just see the amount of blood that was gushing from that forearm of Cash, man, that was just. It looks like he's gonna need a couple of stitches. It looks like he's gonna need a couple of stitches. I mean, that thing was deep. It was deep. Hopefully it didn't mess with an artery. That's the main thing. Hopefully it did not mess with an artery, because you don't think it did, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But a good tag match otherwise. I mean, despite the fact that there were a couple of areas that was, overall, it was a really good tag match. And I tell you what, it felt as though that match was probably going to go an additional 5 minutes before we got the finish that we got. So I definitely, at a much later date, hell, maybe even at a pay-per-view, I would love to see those guys lock it up again. So, we'll wait and see. We also had the Ricky Starks title celebration on this episode. That for me was a little bit weird, and I'll explain to you the reason why. Because we see the episode of Dynamite from last week where Brian Cage finds out that, so Ricky Starks, Taz, and them, they're not here tonight, but they're going to be here next week in New Orleans because there's going to be a title celebration. Okay, cool. We're going to have a title celebration. All right. Well, you know what? I'll just go on ahead and I'll make my presence felt there, and so you're already going, all right, Brian Cage is going to crash the scene. Okay, cool. It's expected. He's going to crash the scene. You just would have thought that Team Taz was going to be prepared for Brian Cage. I was expecting for there to be some type of an ambush. Brian Cage, we knew this was going to happen. We knew you were going to try to bring your ass on out here. That's why we came prepared. I was ready. But we didn't get any of that tonight. Instead, we pretty much just got Brian Cage coming out there, messing with that little band that was performing for Ricky Starks, just owning all of their asses. And then by the time he gets in the ring, Cage has a trombone in his hand. Starks has a pair of orange roses. Ricky Starks is saying to Cage, how you going to fight me with the freaking trombone? All I got is some roses. What the hell? Like, you got an unfair advantage against me. Cage just takes that trombone, breaks it in half over his knee, and it's like, okay, now what? Starks freaking throws the flowers in Cage's face, rolls out, and pretty much you got yourself a nice little stare down right there. I mean, okay, but still, you just would have expected for there to be, nah. We knew you were gonna try to do some shit. That's why we came prepared. You just would have thought they would have. Me personally, I think it would have made a lot more sense had the guys that were the band for Ricky Starks that were performing, would have just made a lot more sense to just have those guys essentially be the ambushers. Right, make them come off all weak and feeble-minded and everything, and then let Brian Cage get in the ring. Let Ricky Starks, oh, hey, it's Brian Cage. Hey, Cage, no reason to run on down here. You want to confront me man to man? Okay, yeah, no, go ahead. Let him come on through. Come on over here. Yeah, you got some stuff you want to get off your chest. I got some stuff I want to get off my chest as well. I would have loved to seen Starks just briefly. I mean, look, the promo he cut tonight, that was pretty damn good. So far since he's been in AEW, it was actually one of his finest moments on the promo. I definitely got to give him mad props for that. I mean, the way he ripped into Brian Cage. I mean, it is that instant, dude, I don't like you. I can't stand you. I hate you with a passion. I need somebody to kick your ass. And the crowd was eating right in the palm of his hands. I love that. It wasn't that go away hate. It was that legit, we don't like you, dude. Like, we want to see you get owned, dude. Seriously. So I love that. By the way, North Carolina crowd at the Bojangles Coliseum. As I said on social media tonight, North Carolina will always have a place in my heart till the day I die. Because I got married last month in North Carolina. And the people there, as me and Wifey talked about on Wrestling with the Topics from a few weeks ago, the people out there, so fucking friendly. Legit. I mean, you hear that, well, who isn't fucking friendly, but no, like, really, the people out there in North Carolina, they really, really are super fucking friendly down there. Very laid back. Now, my one complaint, me being a northern boy and all, because I ain't from the South, so, things are a little bit slow down there. They like to take their time and make sure that they're doing it right, you understand? Gotta take your time. It'll get there when it's supposed to get there, all in due time. Right, where you're from the north, it's boom, 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 boom. That's probably the one thing that people from the north would complain about, for places like in North Carolina. But, man, just putting that to the side, I love the people. The whole time I was out there, I loved everybody I was interacting with out there. And good hospitality. Good hospitality. If you're looking for a place to visit, you got a little bit of vacation time you got to burn, need some fun activities to do, North Carolina, that's definitely the place you want to go to. So, yeah, that crowd tonight, definitely lit. I got to give it up to them. They definitely were representing, bringing that energy tonight. I loved it. So, that Brian Cage spot, though, yeah, that should have been a case where Ricky Starks, after he cut the promo that he cut, should have had Brian Cage just walk on in there, give him a free pass, let the band members bring him in, and then pretty much set him up for a booby trap. Those band members, those poor innocent little band members, they actually happen to be wrestler guys, or Ricky Starks could just, hey, I knew this was going to happen, so I made sure to sweeten the pot here for my bandmates over there. I gave these guys an extra $500 each to try and kick your ass. And whoever is successful in kicking your ass gets a cool extra $1,000. Get them, boys! And you still could have had Brian Cage come out on top. It just would have made sense to kind of go in that direction, considering, like, what happened last week. I don't know. That's just me. Teach its own. But that's just me, right? Biggest piece of news that came out of Dynamite tonight, this Fight for the Fallen edition of Dynamite. We get this cool spot. Now, we were promised that Tony Khan was going to make a announcement for a future live event, a future AEW live event. That never happened. Instead, we went in honestly, I was totally okay with the direction that we went instead. So the cameras get sent to Darby Allin and Sting, and they're chilling somewhere, I don't know, boiler room or some shit. And Darby Allin cuts a pretty good cryptic promo that's essentially hyping up the news of AEW Rampage, right? Now, have AEW Rampage in the back of your mind, but let's rewind it back just literally before we saw Sting and Darby Allin. So one, we get the announcement that as far as AEW Rampage goes, tickets for the very first Rampage that's going to be coming about, tickets are going to be going on sale this coming Monday. Again, this coming Monday. I believe that's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern, but just go to AEWTix.com and all the latest info, you guys will definitely be good to go. But make sure you represent, check that out. Okay, so they made the announcement that that Rampage is going to be happening August 20th in Chicago. It's going to be happening at the United Center. And your man knows a thing or two about the Chicago, being a Chicago homeboy and all. Definitely know about the United Center. Definitely. And the way this episode is being dubbed for AEW Rampage, it's being titled The First Dance. So immediately after we get that news for Rampage tickets for that venue, we go to Sting, Darby Allin. And Darby Allin cuts this nice cryptic promo, but it was to the point at the same time. He says something along the lines of, you know, if you want the very best, you want to experience the best, you come to AEW. Especially if you're the best in the world, right? You know, he says some shit like that, and you're just going, wow, so we really are going there. Like really. You know, and as I said on social media, I said, wow, I think I might have kind of pissed my pants a little bit there, because good God almighty, it kind of sounds to me that business is going to pick up in a huge fucking way here coming up at Rampage, assuming, yeah, okay, cool. Timing of this was awesome, because right before we got into all of this, we see the fans, they're chanting CM Punk, and then you go into the announcement of Rampage, United Center, and then you go to the whole Darby Allin stuff. Badass. But Darby Allin, yeah, I mean, he said, I'm remembering it now, I'm playing it back in my mind as I speak, but he says he'll be in Chicago. He talked about how he's been around a lot of men that have claimed to be the greatest, how great they were, but that there's only one place to prove that, and that's right there in AEW, even if you think you are the best in the world. And I've spent a couple more minutes thinking about, yeah, that's pretty much, that's about 90% accurate what Darby Allin spit out there. So, hey, shit's real, it seems. So apparently, CM Punk, Rampage. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Are you guys totally down with CM Punk, Rampage? Y'all down with that? Or, you know, you prefer CM Punk at the All Out pay-per-view event, right? You know, it's something to kind of marinate on, because let's not also forget, this is the second episode of Rampage that I'm talking about. But the way that episode is being titled The First Dance. But it's the second episode of Rampage, because remember now, Rampage, you see, you kind of got to catch yourself and remind yourself. You're like, oh, first episode of Rampage. That's what I thought too. And as a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if just a few minutes ago I might have said that. The actual first episode of Rampage is on Friday, August 13th. So just imagine between that second episode of Rampage and then going into All Out. That's all I got to say. But I tell you what, all the signs seem to indicate Punk is AEW locked. You know, it would be really, really interesting if it turns out it's just another one of those swerves. But I just feel in my bones this time, just thinking about the past AEW joints, past StarCast weekends. This just feels more, you got to give Khan and them a lot of credit. They tried to tease, but pretty much when they got owned, it was like, no, it ain't happening. So, I mean, they tried to be as pretty transparent about it as possible with the fans. They knew definitely going into that first StarCast, you know, they you know, and they might have been a little bit too bodacious. They might have been a little bit too cocky. Weren't able to bring in the well then, right? You know, because and I don't blame CM Punk. For all we know, CM Punk might have been like, look, you guys got some promise. You got promise. But go out there first. Show me what you can do. You know, then we'll talk. I'll be watching. I wouldn't be surprised if Punk pretty much had operated like that. Okay? So now that they've pretty much proved themselves here, and you circle on back to that big white whale, you know, hey, buddy boy, what do you say? what do you say? Let's go around, buddy boy. You want to do some business? And now it looks like we're going to be getting some business done. And now that we officially have these drops on TV, and, you know, even the interview recently that Stephen Amell gave, Arrow. I'm now catching up on Arrow episodes, by the way. I'm kicking myself in the ass that was a series I did not get into years prior. And it took Infinite Crisis on Earth to make me a fan of Arrow. Because I love Black Lightning, so when the Infinite Crisis stuff was going on, not only did I watch for Black Lightning, but I also watched to see, okay, of this little cast of heroes that we got running around for CW, you know, who can I gravitate towards and, you know, maybe check out their show after this. And the one that really stood out to me the most was Batgirl. I actually like the new actress that they got to play Batgirl, but I do miss, what was the name? Ruby Rose, I think was her name. I do miss Ruby. I thought she was pretty fucking badass. I really legit did. But after that, I became a big fan of the Batgirl series, and I became a fan of Arrow. And it's kind of, I won't spoil Arrow for you guys that didn't see it, but yeah, so now I'm going back and checking it out. But he recently revealed in the interview that he talked with Punk and, hey, you know, these rumors about you returning and that possibly it's going to be for AEW, any of this true? Any of this have any weight to it? And CM Punk sends him a freaking cat shrugging emoji or whatever. So it's kind of like, right? You combine that, you combine what Conan had recently revealed from a conversation that he had with Tony Khan, trying to find out stuff about Punk, and Khan pretty much saying to him, you know, I can't tell you that. And Conan basically said, man, if you were able to get a hold of Punk, just imagine going into the pay-per-view, you know, going into, you know, those shows in the Chicago area that weekend, man, you're going to make those fans fucking pop. And all Tony Khan did was just smiled at him. You know, there's just so many instances that are just adding up, and everything that just culminated in what we got tonight, definitely locked, loaded, signed, sealed, delivered. He's pretty much yours, wrestling fans. CM Punk to AEW. A lot of cool ass matchups. A lot of fresh matchups. A lot of familiar matchups for some. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that. By the way, continuing on with talk of AEW, good IWGP US title defense there for Lance Archer. You know, that really could have gone either way, especially when we saw what happened right before this match came about. We heard from New Japan Pro Wrestling legend. Love this dude. I have said for years upon years in regards to this guy, for me, he is the Hulk Hogan, the John Cena of New Japan. And I mean that not in a disrespectful way. So you guys that can really just take a step back, you know, you really think about it, you know, you guys definitely get the analogy there and what I mean by that, because it's nothing but love. But Hiroshi Tanahashi, he actually appeared, not in the ring, you know, he appeared in a little, probably something he shot through Zoom or his phone and sent it to the guys. But he talked about how he's very familiar with that IWGP US title. And he talked about how there's been many titles that he's won during his illustrious career, specifically with New Japan. And he talks about how, you know, that title, particularly, he's got his eyes on that bad boy, Hiroshi Tanahashi. And you're like, okay, why are you looking at this championship, dog? Like, what is it about this championship that's got you like so? And then it's really hard to even fathom this, especially if you've been a lifelong New Japan fan. It's really hard to believe this. And I actually, as soon as I saw him cut this little promo or whatever, and he said the following line that he said, I actually had to go back and look at his accomplishments. But he said that the IWGP US title is the one title he's never held. And you're like, wait, what? So I actually, as soon as I heard that in real time, I'm going, wait a minute here. Yeah, the brother, believe it or not, he has never won the IWGP US title. So he got dibs. He claimed dibs on whoever won between Lance Archer and I'm drawing a blank on my boy's name right now. For this one, I gotta actually go into my show notes. I'm actually going into my show notes for the first time here. Sorry about that, guys. But bear with me. Let me pull up young man's name. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is blank out and just be like, oh, that guy. Aquilio. I'm butchering the hell out of that name. I know. I apologize in advance. I dishonored you guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, he said he got dibs on the winner for the U.S. title. So Lance Archer coming from out of that. Now, one thing that was cleared up by the AEW commentating team that they stressed, they said that whoever came out of this as the winner, they actually would be going to New Japan to defend the IWGP US title against Tanahashi. So I don't know about you guys, but if there was ever a time to maybe get back into checking out New Japan, I think now is the time, especially since they got their own little $10 subscription and you can pretty much check out all the shows that way. But wait. It gets even better because later on in the night, we hear from Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley was supposed to give comments on the main event match between Chris Jericho and Nick Gage, but instead he used it as an opportunity to take a shot at Tanahashi. And he said, oh, isn't it convenient that as soon as the IWGP US title is off my hands, now all of a sudden, guys like Tanahashi and other people, now all of a sudden, they want to come do some stuff over here for AEW. Yet, when I was the IWGP US champion, and I'm trying to, get matches, especially with you, Tanahashi, you wouldn't give me the time or day. I'm sending in my paperwork over there to New Japan, and you guys just kept giving me the runaround. You, Tanahashi, you kept dodging me and dodging me and dodging me. So now we're flipping the script here as Jon Moxley talked about how he sent a stack of paperwork via FedEx, gave it to his guy, told him to ship it off. Apparently there's a bunch of paperwork that's going to be going to the guys over there at New Japan, but he specifically eyeballing the hell out of Tanahashi, saying, okay, you really want to jump? You really want to come through that whole Pandora's box? You really want to go through that forbidden door? All right. Well, I'm welcoming you. I'm inviting you. Come on over here. Let's see what's up. So, we've heard about this for a long time now. That Tanahashi, remember, one of the first joints we heard was Tanahashi was maybe going to be doing something with Impact Wrestling. Remember that? We heard that for the longest time. Oh, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, they're trying to work out a deal where Tanahashi would be on loan to them. And remember that? Now, look, not for nothing, but when you think about Tanahashi, remember TNA, you got to go back to the mid-2000s, like 2006, 7, 8-ish. He did do some brief stunts there. One of them, there was something he did with AJ Styles at Final Resolution for you buffs out there. Something that he did right there. And then there's something involving him in the Motor City Machine Guns. So I mean, he some spurts, just here and there with TNA. But remember that it was like a couple of years ago. Like we heard these rumblings that they were trying to iron something out, and like for whatever respective reason, nothing came to be. Nothing came to be. I remember being on this show a couple of years ago. I'll try to see if maybe I can find the episode and make it like a sound clip. But I remember some years ago, I was talking about some of the personal matchups, for me, dream matchups that I would like to see of Tanahashi have. And look, AEW, okay, we're going to kick it off with a guy like Moxley. Hey, that's cool. I'm totally down with that. But you know what? Just kind of looking a little bit further down the road, I definitely would not mind seeing Daniel Bryan doing something with Tanahashi. I mean, off the break, give me that. That is like money right there. No bullshit. That is fucking money. I'm trying to see mentally anything more I want to say about that Lance Archer U.S. title match. Really nothing else I want to say about that match. It wasn't bad. Both guys, for big men, they did okay in the ring, but it really did not feel like an important match. And I think part of the problem of that is largely due in part to the great overshadow that was cast over the match, which was the announcement by Tanahashi. Because if you really stop and think about it, for some wrestling fans, and then just kind of looking at the way everything was laid out tonight on Dynamite, you could, I'm not saying me, but I'm saying one could make the argument we kind of diminished the title just a little bit here, because, we really should have just been focused on these guys going after this title and then have the Tanahashi announcement. But now we've pretty much taken the Hulk Hogan, the John Cena, the, fill in the blanks of New Japan and Tanahashi. I got winner, and essentially, you're looking at that and you're kind of going, so now your mind, especially if you know your thing about wrestling, a thing or two about wrestling, you check out multiple promotions. Now you're kind of going, yeah, I don't really care about this match. I'm more interested in what's going on over here with Tanahashi. That's what's going on. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I see a question that's being asked in the chat. How does this channel not have more subs or streams? Well, first of all, we stream multiple times during the week. And honestly, with the shows, and it's a fair question to ask. You realize how much real estate is out there online with the amount of shows that are talking about wrestling? I mean, just really stop and think about that. How many shows actually go on live after Raw goes off the air? How many shows actually come on live after NXT? How many shows come on live after AEW, after every pay-per-view? There is a lot of real estate out there. Not for nothing, and I've been at this for 10 years. I remember when people were still trying to figure out their way around the thing called podcasts. I remember when people were still trying to figure out what the hell was a Google Hangout and how does it work exactly, long before Zoom and a whole bunch of other shit. Okay? So I've seen where it was at its height and seen what it had went through during the pandemic and all that other crazy shit. There's a lot of real estate. More people, from what I see, they will show their support to those that are live, other shows. And look, I don't take that personal. It's like, yeah, you want to go watch somebody else? I'm still going to keep doing my thing. Been doing it for 10 years now and counting. Obviously, I'm not going anywhere. But most people will definitely check out the stuff on demand. If they find out some stuff was put out for downloads, they represent and they go check it out on the downloads. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're one of those type of people, and this not to Then hang on a second. I'm trying to figure out what this guy's name is because the way that my shit is laid out tonight, there we go, to Don, not taking any, so don't take it personal, but my message to anybody, you enjoy what I do, you want to help, you're like, hey man, how do you not have more subs? How do you not have, you want to help out? Here's something you can do. It's free. It don't cost you a goddamn thing. I'm going to tell you exactly what you can do. All you got to do, first off, like the video. You like what I do, you appreciate what I do, like the video. You don't have to subscribe. I used to ask for subscriptions all the time. Now, I don't do that. As far as I'm concerned, the quality of my content speaks for itself, as far as I'm concerned. So, you like what I do, feel free to subscribe. But if you do anything, just hit the like button. When you do that, it pushes out the content more out there to the teams on YouTube, all those places, as far as recommendations go and all that. You do that, appreciate that in advance. Now, continuing on, we were talking about the Tanahashi thing, but I think we pretty much had wrapped that up, yeah? So I don't really think there's anything in addition we need to go with that. Britt Baker made an appearance, hand and cast and all, talking backstage with Tony Schiavone, talking about how, yeah, Nyla Rose, she's really living up to the whole moniker of breaking bitches. As once again, Britt Baker, yeah, she's broken. Her hand's in a cast, but when it was all said and done, she beat Nyla Rose, injured. Look at her girl, Reba. Reba's on crutches yet again. Oh, man, Britt Baker, not really a fan of what's been happening with her and her homegirl within these past several weeks. She feels that Tony Khan and them, they really do not have their best intentions at heart when it comes to taking care of those girls. So Britt Baker has been led to the impression that she needs to go outside of the AEW circle and bring in help. So apparently somebody is coming, somebody else is coming, that Britt Baker says is pretty much going to always have her back and Reba's back. Because it's obvious nobody gives a damn about them, nobody cares for them, whatever. So, now, of course, that's kind of got the gears in motion now. Who could she be talking about? Who could possibly, is it somebody new? Is it somebody new that we haven't seen before in AEW that we could see be paired up there with Britt Baker and Reba? Or is it somebody that, no, we actually are very familiar with them? Because, I mean, if you want to go the Jade route, I mean, I'm just saying, been very inconsistent with AEW Dynamite programming. I miss seeing my girl Jade. I really do. Not for nothing. We go over the dark results and elevation results, usually every single week. And I remember, not for nothing, but I remember Monday night, we did go over the elevation results. We didn't mention any Jade Cargill on it. Now, if she did something on Dark from Tuesday, I don't know nothing about that. But I'll tell you what, just for shits and giggles, and just to validate my point here, let's look up AEW Dark results. Let's see. So Dark would have been on the 26th. No, because today's Wednesday. So it actually would have been on the 27th. So let's see. All right, here we go. I mean, we usually got to get into the card anyway for Dark. So here's your Dark results here for July 27, 2021. Let's see here. Okay, Red Velvet took on Alejandra Lyon. I won't spoil it for you guys as far as who all won. All right, so let's see here. I'm getting a lot of pop-ups. You guys got to bear with me. I'm getting a lot of pop-ups here. There we go. Okay, good. All right, next up, Abaddon took on Killer Kate. Diamante was in action. Diamante faced Big Swall. Dark Orders, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson took on Zach Mason and Warren Johnson. Dante Martin and Brian Pillman Jr. Also, Griff Garrison took on Ryan Nemeth. Man, these pop-ups are killing me. I am never visiting this site again. Ryan Nemeth and The Acclaimed. Looks like there was a 6-man tag match. Could you stop moving? Boy, this site is terrible. I'm telling you guys right now, stay away from the website WrestlingHeadlines.com. A lot of pop-ups. I cannot recommend this site. Yeah, loads of fucking pop-ups. And whatever they're using for their slider, like, it's not keeping your placement when you're trying to read what you're trying to read. It keeps moving you. Like, you know, it's one thing if you move, you know, and it's like, oh, I just got to move my eyes and okay, there I am. No, they like move you an entire 2 paragraphs. Don't visit that website. So to my point, you know, Jay Cargill, like, hello, just saying, my concern with AEW right now, and this legit concern, and I think every fan should have this concern too. Tony Khan is like literally Ash Ketchum. I mean, every goddamn time. Oh, this person became available. And he is just gotta catch them all. Pokemon, wrestling man, flip the script. My concern is right now, okay, man, between Dark Elevation, Dynamite, Rampage, man, all these people that you're bringing on, especially, all signs seem to indicate you got CM Punk locked. You most likely got Daniel Bryan locked. When are we going to start trimming some of that fat? Because, you feel where I'm coming from? So it's going to be interesting to see going into, what quarter are we in right now? I think right now this is what? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So this is kind of like the third quarter, I think, that we're in right now. It's kind of like the third quarter. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, particularly going into the fourth quarter of this year and then the first quarter of 2022, as far as Tony Khan making any moves as far as trimming the fat, because I get it. You want to be the place for everybody and, but you got to cut some of that fat sooner or later. You got to trim it, that's my only concern right now. That's one of my major concerns for AEW right now, because I just feel that they got more than enough. But you look at all the phenomenal talents that they have, and again, Jade Cargill, inconsistent on television within recent weeks. Just kind of something to marinate on. Sorry, I didn't mean to get too sidetracked with that, but you guys feel where I'm coming from with that. I'm just thinking if there's anything else from Dynamite that was worth talking about here tonight. Thunder Rosa, kind of a squash match that she had against Julia Hart. Was what it was. Let's see what else. Jurassic Express picking up a dub. Oh, they were with Christian Cage too, by the way. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jurassic Express with Christian Cage. They defeated Private Party and oh damn, tongue twister right there tonight, man. Shit, I can't get it out of my mouth. That's the first time, as long as I've been doing this show, I've never been so fucking tongue-tied like that. And normally I get tongue-tied for a female, especially when I have a huge crush on. Boy, that was rough. Let's see if I can get this name out. If I can't get this name out, and I'm sorry, y'all just gonna have to I'll improvise and call him something else. But Woo, Jurassic Express and Christian Cage defeated the team of Private Party and Angelico. Yay! I said it. I said it that time. Great. Oh, God. That was a close one. You know, not too important of a matchup here. Pretty short as well. I mean, this match probably went about barely 4 minutes. Seemed like it had a lot of potential. Me personally, I think you had all the right guys that were in place. You had the right participants. I think the match should have went a little longer. I'm not saying it needed to be a 30-minute match or anything like that, but it really would have been nice had the match went about at least 10 minutes. You feel where I'm coming from? But, you know, and I'm really concerned about Christian Cage there. Really concerned about that because he's been pretty damn ice cold since, and man, with these new names, these new acquisitions, he's really going to be in the background now. Yeah. I mean, you would think so, especially considering the fact that the commentators mentioned during this match that since, and I'm trying to understand how this applies because what we saw of him was in a tag match. So I don't really, but they're saying Christian Cage has been undefeated since he's been in AEW so far. Huh? But that's not what has me so. But they said Christian Cage, commentators that is, they said that Christian Cage has essentially taken the number one contender spot, and they questioned whether or not it was him that was now going to be facing Omega potentially for the AEW World Title. And you go, well, wait a minute, I thought Hangman Page. Well, no, you look at what happened earlier in the night with that main event match opener. And let's get to that one. Just I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to talk about. I think we pretty much went through all the other matches, ones that were definitely important. By the way, honorable mention, AEW and what they did with Andrade this week. Very, very smart. They made up for it in a huge way. Remember what we talked about on last week's show? One of my major concerns for Andrade, just go back, you'll hear everything that I had to say. The promos in front of the crowd, they redeemed themselves this week the way they booked Andrade. They had Andrade backstage. Chavo Guerrero pretty much did most of the talking. Andrade did a little bit of trash talking to Pac there, because Pac was wondering where the rest of his Death Triangle boys were. Something weird had happened with their travel arrangements, but Andrade and Chavo had promised that his boys would be showing up. They'd be showing up in a limousine and everything. And from there, Andrade, look, a lot of respect, but from there, Andrade, I didn't understand a goddamn thing he said after that. I don't know if you guys struggled as I did, but and I cleaned my ears out earlier tonight. That's the funny part. I cleaned my ears out, and I still couldn't understand a goddamn. Legit, no bullshit. I legit cleaned my ears out earlier tonight. You know, the same shit that you could get at a ENT, you know, on a visit. And, you know, if you don't have copay, you're going to pay a couple of $100 for it. You can pretty much get that same kit over the counter at your local grocery store or whatever. And all you're spending is about $7, $8, maybe $9 for that little kit. Boom, 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 boom. You're good to go. And I still couldn't understand what the hell Andrade was saying. But they did do better. You know, they made sure that he didn't say too much. To the point, very direct. Let Chavo do most of it. Odd pairing, though. Chavo and Andrade. It's such an odd pairing. It really is, because especially considering from last week, because it's like, okay, it's obvious we're supposed to hate Andrade, but Chavo coming out there last week, oh, you guys remembered me. Oh, how you been? You know, he's playing up to them. So he's kind of coming off a little bit baby face-ish. But then it kind of comes off like this week. Now he's a hit. I'm not gonna even try to marinate on that too much longer. But yeah, the tag match What an epic tag match that was to open up Fight for the Fallen Dynamite Edition. Dark Order, Hangman Page, Young Bucks, Good Brothers, Kenny Omega. Little cheating going on there as Team Omega picked up the dub. Good opener. Good opener of a match. I like how competitive it was here. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else that was, this match. One thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way about this match, if I could be candid with you guys for a second. Anytime I see a tag match open up with this many participants, I usually just kind of cringe just from a viewing perspective, because if I'm flipping through the channels, I'm just imagining myself as just that casual fan. If I'm flipping through the channels, it's like, oh wow, what's kind of going on here, right? I don't really know if we really should have opened up with this. I really don't. I can't. I mean, it was a good opener. Don't get me wrong. It was a good opener. But how do I say this without sounding harsh? I guess I just got to say it. It kind of had a glory indie vibe to it. You understand what I mean? It really had a big old glory indie vibe to it. And that for me was just kind of... But it was a good opener. It was a good opener. I mean, these guys went damn near about a half fucking hour. I got to give it up to them. Pretty damn good. So, pretty solid Fight for the Fallen edition of Dynamite overall, I would have to say. Pretty solid. Ratings-wise, well, I mean, we still got the Olympics, right? Olympics is going on until what? August... Hey, Google, when does the Olympics end?
Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 began on Friday, July 23rd.
So it began July 20...
It ends on Sunday, August 8th Eastern Time.
August 8th, all right. So it ends on August 8th. So we got about another week to go. So thinking about the Olympics underway right now still, I'm going to say for this week, 739,000. I think that's pretty fair, right? 739,000. If they get more than that, good for them. That's pretty damn good for them. All right, so we've been at it now for about a little over 90 minutes. You guys good? You guys been enjoying the show so far? If you have, please, I did mention it earlier. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like. Helps out a ton. Feel free to subscribe while you're at it as well. Hey, in case you had missed it, I am going to be appearing at the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. on Friday, August 20th. You'll be able to catch me covering this year's AWESOMECON. Not only will I be back there as part of the press media, but I'm also going to be moderating and co-hosting a panel there with my good friends and Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup and Don Tony from the Don Tony Show. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fantastic. Again, that's going to be on Friday, August 20th. If you're going to be in the DC metropolitan area, know some friends, family members that's going to be in the area, definitely pass the information along to them. Share the info. Hope to see you there. Should be fun. You can get more information by heading over to the AWESOMECON website. Speaking of websites, and I'll definitely want to give a shout out to our Patreon members, patreon.com/RCWR show. Represent, check out bonus content. Won't be able to find anywhere else. Shout out to our sponsors too. Man, shout out to them. NXT. So I see NXT ratings wise, they took a significant hit. You know, and a lot of people are bringing up the fact that, oh, but it was such a good episode. It was. It went up against the Olympics, and you see the numbers, and it's like 14 something million had watched the Olympics, and NXT pretty much was bringing in on Sci-Fi a measly 500,000 viewers or whatever. Look, while everybody is getting all bent out of shape about the ratings for NXT, I'm actually looking at it and I have a very positive spin on this. And my positive spin on this is as follows. And this is something that I don't see anybody fucking mentioning. Not one person mentioning. Everybody is so, oh my God, 500,000 viewers. 500,000 viewers. Everybody is so gun-ho about that. But let's be real here for a second. NXT from last week, 2 weeks ago, really, little to no promotion whatsoever about NXT going to sci-fi for 1 week only. That's the God's the honest truth. You look back on past 2 weeks leading up to it, there was no heavy promoting that was going on. Now look, I'm usually not a fan of the Olympics. The last time I was a fan of the Olympics, and I know I'm really showing my age here, but 1992 Dream Team, that pretty much was it for me. I really haven't given a damn about the Olympics since. Okay, God's the honest truth. Appreciate all the men and women that do what they do. You know, they represent and they doing their thing at the Olympics. But for me personally, I don't care for it. You know, I know everybody else does, but with me, I'd be like, okay, so when is my regular programming coming back? That's how I usually roll. It's like, when's my regular programming coming back? That's all I care about. Give me my shows. But, you know, so to see NXT from this past week get very little plugging, little to no plugging whatsoever about the move to sci-fi for 1 week only. I mean, shit, I didn't even really see anything on social media about the move to sci-fi for 1 week only. I don't know if you guys did, but my point, even if there was some type of promotion that was out there, it wasn't heavy enough. Right down to it, you go to Monday Night Raw, and you know how they've constantly been doing the little NXT spots. We've been getting that. It's been refreshing to see that these past couple of weeks. But when it counted the most, we didn't get heavy rotation for NXT sci-fi 1 week on. We didn't get enough of that. And anytime I'm here saying I don't remember seeing sci-fi spots for NXT, that for me to say that should signal to you guys wasn't enough heavy promoting. Now, despite the lack of heavy promoting, the fact that they were able to go in there and get, what was it, like about 520,000 viewers on sci-fi. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good for a lack of really no promoting. That's pretty damn good. Just imagine what they might have been able to get had they got heavy promoting. Now, I'm not saying they would have been in the 800-900. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they probably definitely would have gotten in the low 600,000 range, give or take, right? But you look at what they did, you know, they're having their own, or they've had their own growing pain, so to speak, because remember, we had those periods where AEW, okay, they're on Friday. Okay, now they're on Saturday. Okay, I think now they're on Sunday. You remember? I mean, it was crazy what was going on with them before they finally went back to their Wednesday spot. You know, and they had their growing pains for numbers, and now WWE pretty much had theirs as well. So I'm not really tripping over this. I'm really, really not. Good episode of NXT, though. Really good episode. Quick notes about NXT. Oni Lorcan, Pete Dunne defeating Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher. Pretty good opener of a tag team matchup. And then who's the guy that made his return? He pretty much was from NXT UK. I'm trying to think of the damn guy's name, and it's escaping me right now. I mean, he's got a he's got a decent look and everything, but look, I don't watch enough of these NXT UK shows. So for me, as a result, you could tell me their name right now, and if you were to quiz me in about 20 minutes, I'm not going to remember the name. I mean, they've just got to really, really stand out to me. I mean, you can have them on regular NXT all you want, but if I feel they're just not clicking for me, anytime I can remember more of Leon Ruff, Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor, anytime I can remember some, damn, of all the people you remember those, but, that means you're not really making that good of an impression on me. I can't think of this guy's name right now, so you guys that have watched NXT, I'll have to rely on you guys for the name of the person I'm thinking of while I'm still live, but, nice look, but there's nothing that is, at least not right now for me, there's nothing that's screaming, I got to give him my attention. There's nothing that is screaming, oh, money, I smell money with this. There's nothing I'm picking up with this guy. So I could care less that he has pretty much aligned himself with Pete Dunne and Tommaso Ciampa. He reminds me of a UK version of Dexter Loomis. That's the best way I can fucking describe him. And that's not an insult. I'm just telling you, who he reminds me of. Let's see. Did anybody in the chat try to help me out just now? Nope. So we keep it moving along. Carmelo Hayes defeating Josh Briggs. Good matchup right there. Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter defeating Frankie Monet, Jesse Camilla. Actually was a pretty good women's matchup. I actually got to give it up to him. That was pretty good. Imperium defeated Hit Row. That one just, they are trying, aren't they, with Imperium? They are just trying their best to get those Imperium boys over. But, I mean, look, decent in-ring performers. I will definitely give them that. But for me, personally, it's the personality. They are significantly lacking on the personality. I think maybe if that can be kind of stringed together a little bit more, look, I'm not one that's ever going to come on here and be like, this person should have been fired instead of this person, and this person should have been. But look, I will say this. You look at some of the releases that's come about in WWE. And all I'm saying is some of those releases, and you look at other talents, you just can't help but kind of scratch your head a little bit and say, okay, I know that not everybody, is going to be getting championship opportunities. Not everybody is going to main event a pay-per-view. Not everybody's going to even be able to main event a house show. But, really? We're going with this, but we're showing them the door? How does that make sense? You feel me? That's just kind of where I am with that. Now, one big interesting development of two that came about from NXT that definitely was, spicy. Oh, and not to mention, I am so sorry to interrupt my train of thought here, but, one other thing that hurt this week's NXT, this was taped. And I don't know if you guys, because I know some of you guys, you don't try to check out the dirt sheets and all of that, but this week's NXT was taped. And it's very obvious it was taped because as you're watching this episode, you see a lot of parts where, wow, it just seemed like we went to a edited, little cutscene here. Like it was kind of, you could tell. You could tell. There's a big difference between, okay, camera 1, let's go to camera 5. There's a big difference between that and then just, look like they splice something here, right? You could see it all throughout this episode. But the spoilers, they taped a couple episodes here, and this was one of them. So you got people that's already spoiling it. They already know what's to come and all that. For some, what's the reason, and you feel where I'm coming from. So you also got to combine that as well with the move to sci-fi, lack of promoting and all that, just to put a nice pretty ribbon around it. But one of two cool things that happened from NXT. One, Samoa Joe asking for William Regal to join him ringside and tell him, hey, I know you're just as upset as I am over what went down with Karrion Kross last week. I feel where you're coming from. That's why I'm making you a proposal. And we saw Samoa Joe present William Regal with a 3-part proposal plan. The first phase, Samoa Joe quits as being a NXT authority figure in a management position. So he's quitting that. Phase 2, Samoa Joe, per William Regal, he agrees to it, is reactivated as a in-ring competitor for the NXT brand. William Regal reluctantly signed that paperwork. The third phase, which Samoa Joe presented, Samoa Joe faces Karrion Kross at NXT TakeOver 36 for the NXT World Title. William Regal signed off on that, and you didn't really need to read the lips of William Regal. It pretty much was, you better get this bloody job done, sunshine. Pretty much one of those type of deals. So no Karrion Kross on this episode. Wasn't needed. It honestly was not needed. What was the proper setup tonight or yesterday, what they did with Samoa Joe and further moving along the story arc, that was fine as it was. That was totally fine as it was. I think adding Karrion Kross would have been appreciated, but it would have been overkill. I personally think it would have been overkill. Now we just need to see what happens, particularly going into Monday's WWE Raw. I mean, we can have John Cena pop up on Raw, SmackDown, House Show, Raw, SmackDown, House Show, Raw. You get the point. And he's acknowledging pretty much, right? So you've got that continuity there each time. Yet we can't exactly do that with Karrion Kross. Have you guys peeped that out yet? We've yet to see Karrion Kross on Raw acknowledge Samoa Joe. I mean, if there was ever a time to, wait a minute, let's do some cross promoting here. Let's just have a motherfucker running real quick, do a little spot, nice little segue, set everything up for NXT. So I can't help but wonder, okay, assuming we're going to get Karrion Kross again on Monday Night Raw, what's going to happen there? You know? And then here's the other part to that. So now that Samoa Joe is a in-ring competitor, okay, so now officially, his storyline, if you think about it, we don't have to worry about Samoa Joe getting himself in WWE in some type of legal ramification where Karrion Kross could maybe slap them all and Joe with a lawsuit. You feel me? Okay, so Samoa Joe has pretty much bypassed all of that. So can we now be in agreement that with Samoa Joe as an active in-ring competitor again, surely we can see him do some type of a run in there on Karrion Kross, and we can kind of spice it up a little bit with these guys going into NXT TakeOver. Surely we can do that. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, it's been pretty, right? You know, it's been good. It should be better. That's my whole point. It should be better. Another interesting development from NXT this week: Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai. The turn we knew was coming eventually. It was just a matter of when was it going to happen. And I'm most curious what exactly was going on with all the other women backstage. Because you've got Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel pretty much talking about, you line them up, I've knocked them all down. You know, who else is there to beat? Who else wants some? You know, anybody want a piece? And Dakota Kai is pretty much hyping up her girl, talking about how, you know, she's going to continue to be a dominating force, you know, for a long time coming, and that with her by her side, no one is going to be able to match up with Raquel. Who's worthy? Is there anybody, right? And then all of a sudden, as Raquel is celebrating, turns around, wham, Dakota Kai just lays her out. fans actually loved it that were there at the CWC. They loved it. They chanted Dakota and everything. I loved it. Visually, good shit. Good shit. I loved what I saw from Dakota Kai. I saw a nice mean streak that, one, I haven't seen in quite a while. And then two, we kind of saw a little bit of a sinister, menacing side to Dakota Kai this go round. It was a bit of Dakota Kai that, hey, yo, I will go to any lengths. I don't give a fuck if I got to go through hell. I'll lie, I'll cheat, I'll do whatever I need to do to be on top. Best believe that. So I like that Dakota went in that direction. But see, here's the thing. Now you're in this position, and you know WWE, at least the NXT guys, they got to figure this out now, because you're following the storyline. And look, I think it's a smart move. I really, really think it's a smart move, because, you know, essentially, if you're trying to have Raquel Gonzalez go over as a babyface now, look, you ask me personally, man, I was okay with Raquel being a heel, honestly. But if you see more market value in her being a babyface, okay, reluctantly, I can buy into that. But if you're going to flip her, then, one, how do you make her be a sympathetic figure to the crowd, to the point the crowd is eating out the palm of her hands? You know, and then two, who's her dancing partner going to be? Because you really need a damn good dancing partner here. So the fact that we're going with a face Raquel and a heel Dakota, yeah, I mean, it balances itself out pretty damn good. You know, it's actually okay. I'm actually down with that. But now that you see how things were laid out, you now got to go in the direction of, again, in storyline, Raquel, hey, you know, why would you do that? I thought we were cool. Yo, if you wanted a title shot opportunity, all you had to do was ask, you stupid bitch. What the fuck? You got to address that, because it's like, why didn't she just ask for a title match? Now, I'm curious how we go about that. I'm very, very, very curious. Is it going to be a case right here in the story where Dakota Kai says to Raquel, hey, yo, you know, all the times I pretty much had your back. I pretty much was the reason why you were not only able to win the NXT women's title, but my teachings, everything. I'm the reason why you've been champion this long. And how did you repay me? After letting the fame, the glory, the status all go to your head, how did you freaking repay me? You pretty much just had me as your little lapdog. You pretty much just had me as your little sidekick. You know, I'm curious to see where they're going with this, because you can make an argument. You really could. Till we see more next week, you could make an argument that, okay, yeah, sure, Raquel is supposed to be the sympathetic figure, but you can also make an argument that, no, Dakota Kai is actually a sympathetic figure in this one, because she did this, and all of that hard work, you know, everything that she did and trying to ensure that her girl was doing all right, everything pretty much went unrewarded, right? Raquel got to eat, but Dakota didn't get hers. You know, you can kind of make that argument. So I'm interested in seeing where this is going to be going. Very, very interested in seeing where this is going to be going. But that should be a phenomenal matchup. It really should. I have faith in NXT. On the NXT side, I've got a lot of faith in them, because, not for nothing, the psychology, remember, I gave a lot of praise to that match that happened last week when it was Xia Li taking on, who was it? No, I think it was Xia Li taking on Raquel Gonzalez. Yeah, it was Xia Li taking on Raquel Gonzalez. I gave a lot of praise for that match as far as the ring psychology went. A lot of praise for that. So I'm very curious to see how Kai and Gonzalez does. I think it's If the psychology for what they did with Xia Li and Gonzalez is any indication, then man, it's going to be smooth sailing when that match comes about. So those were the biggest two developments that came about. The way reacting to Austin Theory walking out on them, they're a little bit salty on that still. Indy Hartwell, though, she gets this package, little FedEx, whatever you want to call it. And it turns out it's a original little character of Indy, rest of the guys in the way, but no Austin Theory. And Dexter Loomis is in it. So, it's pretty much Dexter Loomis saying, hey, who needs Austin Theory? You got me. Remember, I'm your family too, is kind of what you could take away from that drawing. And Indy looks at this as a peace offering, but once again, the Garganos, they don't want nothing to do with Dexter. So Indy puts a nice little stipulation out there, which, by the way, there's a couple of matches that's set up for next week's NXT. Not too much to sink your teeth into right now, but I'll definitely tell you about it. But it's a love her or lose her match. Johnny Gargano taking on Dexter Loomis. Rules are simple. If Dexter Loomis wins, then the way they've got to give Dexter Loomis a chance. They welcome him into the fold, and I guess he can pretty much have his way with Indy Hartwell. Rock the cradle of love. It's the cradle of love, right? Now, if Dexter Loomis loses, then that's it. Indy's done with him. They are done with him. Like, they never bring that guy up again. So that's going down next week. We also got an NXT breakout tournament match. Joe Gacy taking on Trey Baxter. Roderick Strong will be facing Bobby Fish. And Hit Row will be taking on Legado del Fantasma. Speaking of those guys, the segment that was conducted with Wade Barrett and Diamond Mine there, you guys got to forgive me. I cringed on that shit. I thought that was the boring fucking... I fast forward on that one. I gave it about 90 seconds. Couldn't get into it. Could not get into it. Oh, yeah. NXT going off there with the main event match of the evening there. It was Adam Cole. Remember, I gave you guys the quick results already. But Adam Cole with the dub. Post-match, Kylie O'Reilly just coming out of nowhere. Steel chair in hand. Just mud stomping the shit out of Adam Cole with that steel chair. Sending NXT off there. Obviously, the bad blood here, it continues to be thick. It continues to be intense. How is this going to end? I've been kind of talking about it off and on the past couple of weeks. I really just kind of feel that at this point, I'd be shocked if they didn't go there too, but I just kind of get this impression that we may be heading towards a loser leaves NXT for good. But then the question becomes, okay, so if a loser is going to be leaving NXT, who's it going to be exactly? Kind of hard to say, man. Because I see a lot of promise in both guys on the main roster. But not that NXT isn't the main roster, but you get the point that I'm saying. Too close to call. If it's not going to go in that direction, you feel where I'm coming from, then how does this kind of get resolved? Because you just feel the trajectory right now is one more time. This is it. Winner takes all. We're not going to keep doing this over and over and over again. What's going to be happening at TakeOver, this is going to be the definitive end of this feud. Again, once and for all, that's it. Whoever gets the win, that is it. Both of you guys move on. This is it. This is going to be the final time in NXT that you men will face each other. You just kind of feel like maybe that's the direction we're going to be going because, man, if you really take a step back and you really think about it, it almost reminds you so much of Cole Gargano. reminds you a lot of that. Or Gargano, Champa. It reminds you a lot of that. 'Cause remember, there are those periods there where you're like, man, again? Look, O'Reilly and Cole, they're going to tear it up. They're going to have a fantastic fucking matchup without a shadow of a doubt. But you just can't help but kind of wonder where exactly is the end game for this. You feel where I'm coming from? Who do I think is the best tag team in AEW? I don't have one right now. Believe it or not, I'm actually still in a filling out period. I don't have a favorite tag team right now. I think the better question to ask me is who in AEW has my attention right now? Whose work do I look forward to the most on a weekly basis in AEW? And right now, for the longest time, actually, I would say Nyla Rose. They use him inconsistently, but I think he's very entertaining. And I just feel that if AEW would really amp it up a little bit more, they would have themselves a nice crossbreed between Goldust and vintage Goldust at that, and gorgeous George, a little bit of Boy George too there. But there's a lot that they're missing there. Sonny Kiss. I think that there is so much untapped potential there with Sonny Kiss. Hell of a performer, great entertainer. I think there's a lot they can do with him, but the fact that they just scale back a lot. Anytime Sonny Kiss is doing his thing, I'm definitely a fan of his work. And this is coming from a straight guy. So take that for what it's worth. That should let you know as far as entertaining goes. If you catch my interest, you're entertaining. That's enough for me to make me a fan. Jade Cargill, big fan of her work. Big fan of her work. Britt Baker. I was one of the few people. I know you longtime listeners have always heard this, but sorry you guys got to endure this. But I said when she was putting out those cringeworthy promos, I said no. She just gotta get with the right people. She's already got her man in Cole. She's got to get with him, get with a nice, good circle of people. Like, practice makes perfect. Perfect those promos. Practice that shit in the mirror. Record some shit, play it back. Like, she'll work it out. She'll figure it all out. Saw a lot of potential in her. So to see where she's at now, she's not quite... She's still got a lot more chipping away to do. But, man, leaps and bounds. Great freaking improvement that she's doing. Sammy Guevara is another one that catches my eye on a consistent basis. I also love the work of Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs, pretty fucking solid. Darby Allin, earlier times in AEW kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but yeah, he's been coming along. So those are just some of my favorites that I like watching on a weekly basis right now. So any other questions you guys got, you could feel free to, poke it on out there while I'm still live with you guys. But other than that, I'm just thinking if there was anything else noteworthy we should be talking about here tonight. Quick sidebar, the American Wolves, Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards, they're going to be reuniting for the first time in a long while. They're going to be reuniting in October for the Wrestling Revolver promotion. So this is going to be their first time teaming up since 2017. So tickets for that show is going to be happening in Iowa on October 30th. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you're staying on top of that promotion. Again, Wrestling Revolver. Make sure you stay on top of them for when tickets get ready to go on sale for that. Remember we were talking about on Monday's RCWR show with regards to Randy Orton, and he could potentially be the SummerSlam tag partner there for Riddle? Well, it seems that when you go about looking at some of the dates for some of these WWE house shows, these super shows that's coming up, there's one you got to be homing in on, which is one live event that's going to be happening in Milwaukee, I believe this weekend. They're advertising Randy Orton. Now remember, card is subject to change, as with any WWE live event. Card is subject to change. But Randy Orton is being advertised for that Saturday WWE Super Show. He's also being advertised as teaming up with Riddle and Drew McIntyre against Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. And it's being said this is most likely a dark match main event that's going to be set up for Monday's Raw. But I just thought that was kind of interesting to hear that. So, kind of have that going in the back of your mind. Speaking of WWE Raw, ratings are in for this week's show. 1.8, 14 million viewers. Down by just, maybe 2-3% or some shit like that, because the week prior they hit about 1.900 million viewers. So, that's not really that bad, considering you pretty much were going up against the Olympics most likely. That's really not that bad at all. So that's pretty good. I think that's pretty damn good. Also, I didn't want to go too heavy with some of that. You might have considered it, a lot of bad news. Definitely wasn't good news earlier there when we opened up the show. But rest in peace to Jose Alvarado Nueves, known as Super Porky, and Brazo de Plata. He passed away at the age of 58. CMLL, UWF, AAA, just all over the place. Part of a legendary family. Passed away at the age of 58. Not quite sure what was going on as far as the cause of death right now. 58 is kind of young, though. It is, 58. All these people that's going away so young, so young. I was talking about earlier how WWE, but definitely AEW, they've got concerns, as far as COVID-19 and all that. You see these reports that's floating around, and look, I don't need to be long-winded with this, but you've listened to my show enough, especially during the course of the past 15 months. I have constantly said to you guys, look, the only way that we're going to be able to do what we need to do in regards to this pandemic, we all need to do our parts. We got to be smart. We got to make sure that from a sanitary standpoint, we got to make sure that we're doing a really good job in, washing our hands, hygiene, big must. Got to make sure we're doing our thing with our hygiene. We got to make sure that, even if you don't want to push a mask, you gotta stay on top of your hygiene. You got to stay on top of your social distancing. You got to make sure that when you're not feeling well, you do what's right. And okay, I don't feel too good. I got no business going into this establishment that's in the public here, because whatever might be going on with me, heaven forbid, I pass it on to somebody else. They get fucked up, and it's really because of me, right? So you just got to be smart. Remember, I was telling you guys all of these things, and I pretty much said, you do your respected part. You be responsible for your actions the minute that you leave out of the door, because you got to interact with so many people. You do your part. It's a team effort. Together, we all will be able to kick this joint's ass. Yeah, and I've always said to you guys, it's going to be around for a couple of years. It's always going to continue to linger, but as long as we're all doing our parts, the goal should be, let's get this bitch down to like 1%, if possible. 1% of the North American population is possibly running around and just, don't give a fuck, and they're going to get COVID. You see the numbers, practically all the people that have died from COVID-19 unvaccinated. Not even one shot, all unvaccinated. And to see with your own two eyes that in various cities in North America, various states, the numbers are on the rise. Texas, Florida. I forget what was the third state that was the most popular there, of the three there. But you're like, whoa. So to hear that, oh, we may actually have to now go back and we may actually have to reinstate mask mandates. And I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I never stopped wearing my mask. I never stopped. When the numbers were continuing to go down, even after I got my Moderna shots, even after I got them, I continue to wear my mask. I continue to wear my mask this very day. Way before the CDC, oh, we recommend that on public transportation, wear your mask. I was already doing that. Oh, well, we recommend that folks continue to wear their mask on public transportation, even if you're vaccinated. Never stopped. We recommend that people that are remember this now. This was the CDC. Remember this, and it ties all to the wrestling. Trust me. Just stay with me. It ties to the wrestling. Remember when the CDC said, "Oh, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. You can go out there in public and you can just fucking act like the Smurfs. La 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 la." Remember that? You know, it was almost like they were saying, "Get the vaccine. You can have your cake. You can have your cake. You can eat your ice cream. You can have your diabetes." Remember that? They pretty much were coming at you like that. Oh, you go to outdoor events. Oh, you don't need no mask. As long as you're vaccinated, you can, despite hearing all of that bullshit. Many of us, including myself, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But you know what? I'm just going to have to pretend this is the mask. It's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you know what? Yeah, I'm better to be safe than sorry. You know, not my actual mask, but you guys get the point that I'm making. And now we've got them. Yeah, remember what we said a couple of months ago about, you know, well, even if you're vaccinated, we just kind of, well, I never stopped. There are a bunch of us that never stopped because we knew. There were many of us that said, moving a little too soon here, opening up this, taking off this restriction. Yeah, we got to get the economy back up and booming and everything, but whoa, pump the brakes, moving a little bit too fast here. And honestly, when it's all said and done, I think a lot of pressure had hit a lot of these states. I think that for some that might have been up for re-election and everything, they wanted to try to make sure that, you know, see when it counted the most, see, you know, and so this is now the position that we're in because we relaxed. We're taking the right steps forward, but we got a little bit too trigger happy, and as a result, now we got to take a couple of steps back. Yeah, you don't need a wrestling website, dirt sheets, and all that. You don't need them, especially if they're hiding behind a paywall. Exclusive, we're a wrestling company, you know, according to our sources. You don't need that. You got your own pair of eyeballs. You can use your own fucking common sense. Yeah, no shit, wrestling promotions, including WWE and AEW, are most likely concerned about what they're seeing with the spike in the numbers right now. Because with the spike in the numbers, and it's looking as though it's going to be, hey, we're not that far from winter, folks. Just a couple of more weeks, and that's going to be it for summer. Right? No shit, wrestling promotions are looking at what's going on with these numbers and saying, man, what the fuck are we gonna do? We're just now getting back out there on the road. What are we gonna do? If you ask me for my 2 cents from a distance, what do I think promotions like WWE, you know, everybody, what do I think they all are gonna do? I think that they are gonna try their damnedest to not go back to the Thunderdome, to not go back to Daly's Place, to not go back to insert the name without fans. No fans in attendance. The virtual fans, I truly believe we're done with that. We're done with that. Now we're at a point right now where most folks understand, they know everything about this disease that's going around, this COVID. They know the steps that they need to take, even if you have one that is unvaccinated, whether it be for religious purposes. They feel like, nah, that shit wasn't tested thoroughly enough. I don't fucking trust it. Oh, I'm hearing about blood clouds. Oh, man, people that take it, they get the shot, they drop dead the next day. Fuck you. I don't want to take that damn shot. For whatever the respected reason is, even an unvaccinated person can still take the necessary precautions, such as wearing a mask and all of that other shit. My point, we know so much about this COVID compared to when the outbreak first came about that now, honestly, there's no need to go back and be like, we no fans in attendance. No, you don't need to go back to that. I think what some of these venue goers had started to do was kind of smart. I remember I was on Ticketmaster when I was looking for some shows for WWE's next round of live events. And I remember looking at some stuff when I was on my wedding, my honeymoon, wedding, vacation and all that. I remember looking at some stuff, and the way that they had the seats set up, it was pretty much, hey, if you're vaccinated, we're going to put you over here in this vaccinated section, pretty much with other people that's vaccinated. You got to show proof of your vaccination. You're not able to show proof of your vaccination, you're not going to get those seats and you ain't going to be refunded. And I think that the new trend that we're just going to, just fully be implemented from here on out is going to be a case where, okay, if you're vaccinated, okay, all right, yeah, you can come in, you can come to this live event, you can get a seat, you can blah, 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 blah. It's going to be all of that. If you're unvaccinated, you're not going to be rejected, but you're definitely going to be in a section with. So all the information that we know, I just don't see why you would go so hardcore to the point where you start doing those crazy restrictions like what we had a year ago, basically. You feel me? I just don't see the need for that. That would be really, really crazy if we were to go down that route again. We know what we know now. Let the consumers basically decide, look, if you're that respected state, I could definitely see cases coming about where, okay, we need to implement mask. Hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to go here. Mask. I could definitely see all of that be implemented. But time curfew, 10% seating capacity, and I just don't see that happening. I just don't. Not only from just an economic standpoint, but I also just don't see that happening because now that we know what we know, let those consumers, let those men and women, they know what they know. They've educated themselves. They don't need to have their hand held like that and be dictated to. That's the last thing that motherfuckers want, okay? Yeah, you're going to have some knuckleheads that's going to be out there. They're going to be, right? It comes with the territory. You got to deal with it as it happens. But, the wrestling industry as a whole, I'm still pretty confident in it. I still feel that we're going to get back to, that sense of normalcy and everything. It could be a little bit tricky for some venues, for some of these wrestling promotions. I could definitely see it being a case depending on, what the mandate is going to be as far as seating capacities. Some of them could do that at any time. And then that could play heavily into some of these promotions' touring schedules. And then they may have to try to reshuffle some things. And yeah, all of that could very well come in the whole process. But I don't see it reverting back anywhere to where we were before with just no fans in attendance, virtual screens for fans, virtual fan seats, Thunderdome. I don't see any of that. Let me put it to you this way. We got to be exactly where we were a year ago, numbers wise. It's got to be that fucking ridiculous in order to, you feel me? And I just don't, with everything we know now, I just don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. What was the statistic last? Over 70 something million Americans have at least gotten one shot. I don't know where it is now, but I would imagine it's much higher by now. But like over 70 million Americans, they either got both shots or they at least have had one shot of the vaccination. So take that for what it's worth. But everybody that's taking this, running with it as a headline and trying to scare fans, intimidate fans, and try to serve their own fucking propaganda bullshit. Fuck you. One other thing I want to talk about that's definitely wrestling related and COVID related at the same time. I had got a couple of comments about Monday's show. Some people didn't even listen to the episode. They just saw Jeff Hardy has COVID and they decided, I omitted some of the comments, but those that came in, some people had felt that I was spreading propaganda, that there was no proof, that, how you gonna scare people like this? We've been through enough as it is. And number one, there are so many people that it turns out have COVID that didn't even know, showed no symptoms whatsoever, healthy as a horse, everything. Just because a person has COVID, it doesn't mean it's a death sentence. Now, if you have a shitty immune system, you don't take good care of yourself, you're obese as fuck, you got high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and all, you're taking all different types of fucking medication. Okay, yeah, you may want to be a little bit concerned there, right? But as I talked about on the show on Monday, those of you that tuned in on Monday, I said and see, this is where common sense has to be put in play right here. And let me explain without being long-winded here. So the promotion, the company that was behind the appearance where Jeff Hardy was supposed to be doing that meet and greet in Kansas, it was like a meet and greet. And I think he was also going to perform there as well. So basically, when it's all said and done, Jeff Hardy / Jeff Hardy's people reached out to said promoter or whatever. We can't do it. And the reason why we can't do it is because Jeff tested positive for COVID. To cover their ass, said promoter puts out a post on social media letting ticket holders know what was going on. Because ticket holders, they got a right to know, especially if they want a refund or they want to have that money be credited for a future show involving Jeff Hardy, or no, that's okay, credit it to this instead because I want to actually see this instead. Happens all the time. It's no different than, okay, you were going to the Improv Comedy Club. This person was supposed to be there. They got sick. They can't make it. Now, you as the consumer, you're in that position where you can either be given a refund, you could be credited for a future show for that same performer, or you can have your money credited to whoever else is supposed to be coming next in town and go to that event instead. No different than that. This is where the common sense really comes into play. Obviously, Jeff Hardy, no statement put out there. I didn't even see anything today as far as social media goes. No statement from Jeff Hardy. No statement from WWE. Now, marinate on this. Don't you think that if it was not true, WWE and or Jeff Hardy would have said something by now? Because when it's all said and done, that is a significant form of spreading misinformation. And when you're operating in that fashion where you're essentially playing with somebody's livelihood, and how they make their money, those can have some serious ramifications, and it's enough to sue on those grounds. So the fact that nothing as it stands right now, because now it's been about, I think it's been about 4, maybe almost 5 days now since we heard that news about Jeff Hardy, supposedly having COVID, and there's still been no statement. I mean, you kind of have to put 2 and 2 together and just be like, okay, well, the fact that these days, like, I don't know what universe you guys live in, but if something is said about me that's not true, I don't know how you guys operate, but I'm not going to wait a day, 2 days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. I'm not going to wait just to give a fucking reply. If it's not true, I'm going to be on top of it right then and there and say, whoa, pump the brakes, kiddo. Yo, this is how it's going down. This is the real deal. Not this shit you're hearing. This is the real deal. So we kind of got to use a little bit of better common sense here. I was just amazed. It's funny, too, because didn't we kick off the show talking about how the OBS guy, the Streamlabs guy, pretty much just read the subject line, and he pretty much just, and essentially some of the comments that I was reading from the Monday show, again, that I omitted, it's like, okay, if you're not going to take the time, you could tell who's actually listening to the show and who was just reacting to the title of the video, and pretty much we're going in that way. It is what it is. Food for thought. So, on that note, next show, well, we're done for now. Your next show is not going to be until, well, we're going to do something for our Patreon members as we already close out the month of July. But the next show is not going to be dropping until, wow, already August 2nd. August 2nd. Monday, August 2nd. That'll be your next RCWR show. So check that out. Remember, especially for you newcomers, you made it up to this point, we're live Mondays after Raw goes off the air. Tuesdays, typically after NWA Power goes off the air. So we come on at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. On the nights that I, have other commitments, sometimes we'll air a later episode, usually by 10 o'clock. You guys will get that NWA, but for the most part, we've been pretty good, but sometimes it can get a little tricky there. And of course, Wednesdays, we're here with you guys after Dynamite goes off the air. So that's at 10 p.m. Eastern. So, you get yourself nice little 3 shows a week, 4 or 5 if we got pay-per-views, depending on the promotion. So, you haven't subscribed, do subscribe so you don't miss out on all the content that comes your way on a weekly basis. You can definitely get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. One more time as you guys get ready to make your exit. You haven't done so already. Please kindly make sure you hit that like button there. Feel free to subscribe as well. And I'm just curious, I'm looking at the overlay here at my end, and I'm just a little bit curious. Give me 1 second here. I want to see something. Oh no, it was good tonight. Okay, good. I thought I'm getting used to the software here, so the way I'm looking at the overlay right now, it looks incorrect, but I'm seeing what you guys have been watching this whole time, and it actually looks on point. So I'm happy, you're happy. We're only gonna get even better. Oh, and here's what's really cool. Before I go, I did some really cool new features, something I never was going to do. I mean, if you've checked out the show for a couple of years, we've always had some type of animation that's popped up whenever somebody does a donation, a super chat, or somebody has subscribed. Well, as part of learning this whole shit with this OBS software, I decided in the process, okay, well, let's go with some new animations. So the animations are in place right now. So anytime we get a new subscriber, there's a new animation, a new sound with that animation. It's pretty hilarious. There's also new animation and sound when we get donation super chats. So that's pretty cool too. So, that's what I call taking something bad and turning it into positive, making the best out of the situation, the best of what's around. You feel where I'm coming from? So, yeah, you'll be seeing some of those things in the coming weeks. So kind of keep that in mind going forward. If you happen to, be checking out the shows, you haven't subscribed yet, and you do subscribe, not only will you see your name and all of that in the screen, but you'll also get that acknowledgement, because I got to definitely do a better job making sure we're acknowledging, because this isn't just my show. This is your show too. This is our show, so we always have fun. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys, as always. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, also, our channel, our YouTube channel specifically, it actually got nominated, not for an award, but it got nominated for a beta process. Some new feature called Applause, and it's basically like a super chat. So like any video that I've ever produced, and you were feeling it, you can now, even though it's pretty much on demand, you can now go in and you click on the applause, which is now like a super chat basically, and you can leave a donation. I thought that was like the coolest shit, because I know a lot of times, typically the way YouTube would work, when the shit is live, you could do a super chat. But now, like, what happens if you come in after the fact and the shit's now available on demand? Like, now what? You can't do the super chat. So now what? Well, now they made a nice little cool, I believe it's called, God, I just had the name of it. Applause or some shit like Applause. You guys will know it when you see it. So if you see that on old content, just FYI. So that's kind of cool. It's nice to see that all the hard work that we've done on YouTube over the years. It's nice to see that we got folks in the YouTube team there that's going, let's toss Lee a bone here, right? So I appreciate that, YouTube. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until Monday, assuming you're not a Patreon member, which you should be so you don't miss out on all the great content, have a great weekend. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I look forward to chatting with you guys on Monday. Of course, anything happens between now and then, make sure you're staying connected on social media, including the youtube.com page. / the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab. I'm usually posting some type of message on there for you guys as well. All right. Much love. Appreciate the support as always. Be safe and be kind to one another. Take care, y'all. Peace.